The scene shifts to a tense discussion between Joyen and the protagonist. They stand amidst the chaos of the hospital, debating how to handle the poisoned individuals still inside. Our hero suggests a bold solution to bring everyone into the subspace. He admits she can't tell who is addicted and who isn't, so it's safer to cleanse everyone. The plan seems sound, but there's a problem. Moving that many people in the dead of night feels impossible, especially with so many unable to walk on their own, but he reassures them that even a fingertip entering the subspace will be enough to remove the toxins. Once everyone is purified, they can narrow their focus to those still posing a threat under the guise of patients. They brace themselves for a long night, preparing to move people one by one. But before they begin, an old man steps forward. His eyes are clear now, no longer clouded by the poison. He's already free, a sign that something else is at work. And then Hiangu appears. His expression is one of relief and genuine gratitude. The realization hits the protagonist that Kyong has already taken care of Jin Seonghak. The need to individually transfer everyone vanishes. Looking over Kyung's bruised yet stable form, the protagonist acknowledges the effort it must have taken and apologizes for launching the weights with so much force earlier. Hyungu brushes it off casually. The bruises are minor. What shocked him wasn't the pain, but the sheer absurdity of the attack. Not even the strangest monsters compared to the sight of weights falling from the sky. The protagonist lets out a rare chuckle, admitting he sometimes surprises himself with his own abilities. Hyungu then brings up the idea of staying at the hospital. He would prefer if the man who helped save them all remained close, but he understands the need to reunite with family. He thanks him again and wishes him a safe journey. When the protagonist mentions heading to Guljiro, Hyungu's demeanor shifts. Alarm flashes across his face as he warns against it. That area has changed drastically. As he left Guljiro, a massive wall began to rise between it and Namsan, growing straight from the earth like a monstrous tooth. It must be the height of a building by now, making ground travel almost impossible, and that's not the worst part. The monsters there are different. Guljiro crawls with undead skeleton creatures that return to life even after being slain. Unlike the threats in Gangnam, these abominations refuse to stay down. But even with that knowledge, the protagonist remains firm. He trusts his second sister's survival instincts. She has always been resourceful and strong, even without powers. If anyone can handle monsters, it's her. Before they can continue, a call comes in from Joyeon stating that the soldier they rescued earlier has regained consciousness. The protagonist heads to the staff lounge, now a temporary safe space within his subspace dimension. Inside, Kyong Ho, now awake, expresses heartfelt gratitude for saving his life. He introduces himself as a colonel from the 50th Intelligence Communications Battalion. The protagonist confirms his identity and asks how the colonel is feeling. Kyong Ho, still gathering his thoughts, takes in his surroundings. He notes the presence of what looks like military command, but is confused by the lack of nearby buildings. The man explains they are in the Paxid FC Logistics Center Lounge, safely housed inside a unique subspace ability. Outside lies Gangnam, near the Hanam Bridge. Kyung Ho stares in disbelief as none of it makes sense. Joyeon steps in to clarify that everything he sees is part of this ability, a safe haven crafted out of thin air. Still overwhelmed, Kyung Ho politely requests to be let off there. The protagonist assures him that no harm will come his way. Even Hyangwoo offers a few calming words, making it clear that he can trust them. Despite their kindness, Kyung Ho stresses the urgency of his mission. He has to reach the Joint Chiefs of Staff immediately. Something bigger is at stake, something he can't fully share just yet. Understanding the weight of his words, the protagonist nods. He asks Pax for a banana milk and a sandwich, intending to offer some comfort before letting the colonel go, but Kyung Ho hesitates, visibly torn. The man recognizes the hesitation and changes course, bringing forth a steaming spread of delicious hot food instead. The gesture works. Kyung Ho begins to speak, revealing a story more horrifying than any of them imagined. He narrates that across the globe, creatures began appearing out of nowhere. Monsters, giant insects, bizarre plants, and even new landforms all arrived without warning. These beings attack anything in sight. In response, the government started recruiting awakened individuals to form special military units. His battalion, stationed near Gwacheon and Anyang, had managed to establish some stability. That is, until the dragon arrived. It was unlike anything they had faced before. Weapons proved useless. Requests for reinforcements went unanswered because nearby units were also under siege. Even communications with Central Command broke down, something unheard of even during intense combat. With no other options, they decided to relocate to the National Communication Command. The journey was brutal, many died, others were too injured to continue. They had to recruit more awakened fighters just to survive the trip. When they finally arrived, they found the command center abandoned, no personnel, only documents, and what they found suggested something far worse than monster attacks, a potential coup. Kyong Ho tried to reach the Joint Chiefs of Staff, but then the dragon caught up. Some of the awakened recruits, betraying their own side, turned against him. He barely escaped. Now he believes the First Corps is blocking all troop movements, part of a larger plan that threatens the entire structure of government. The revelation hits hard. The protagonist realizes how dire things truly are. He agrees to drop Kyong Ho off near the Han River Bridge during their route to Guljiro. It's safer to travel together, at least for a while. Kyong Ho initially refuses, wanting to depart at once, but exhaustion betrays him. The man insists he rest first. With everything settled, the protagonist turns to Yong-soo, signaling it's time to move. He instructs him to drive fast, but not recklessly. Every minute counts now. As they prepare to depart, Kyong Ho suddenly stiffens. His eyes fix on something just beyond the subspace's edge, a monster, watching them intently. A monster lunges forward, but before it can even make a sound, a stack of 20-kilogram weights hurtles through the air and sends it flying. The impact is instant and brutal. The creature vanishes from sight, leaving everyone stunned. Kyong Ho looks around, confused, trying to understand what just happened. Calm and composed, our hero steps forward and gives a simple command to Pax deploy Military Vehicle 1. Pax confirms without hesitation. Moments later, a fully equipped military vehicle materializes beside them. Kyung Ho's eyes widen in disbelief as he struggles to process the sudden appearance of such advanced machinery. Our hero, however, doesn't stop to explain. Instead, he calmly tells Kyung Ho to keep eating and resting. Though their destination is nearby, he plans to leave a portal open, allowing Kyung Ho to observe the outside world in real time. The battlefield shifts again. Our hero launches more of the 20-kilogram weights into the air. They become deadly projectiles, blurring through the sky before slamming into unsuspecting works. Each strike lands with a sickening crunch, leaving the beasts stunned before they collapse in pools of blood. He doesn't stop there. More weights materialize, and he hurls them in rapid succession, forming a relentless barrage of steel. The air crackles with energy as the projectiles crash into enemy after enemy. Flesh tears. Through the open portal, Kyung Ho watches in awe. The sheer speed, power, and control of the assault leave him speechless. He observes how each weight not only strikes with deadly precision but also changes direction mid-air and returns to our hero's side like a homing missile. The automatic extraction of mana stones from the fallen monsters only deepens Kyung Ho's admiration. It becomes clear that this man's ability is not just powerful, it's absurdly versatile. Yong-soo, focused on the road, announces that they have reached Bampo Bridge, including the submerged section beneath the water. But there's a problem. The road ahead is blocked and completely impassable. Our hero turns to Kyung Ho, offering a quick apology for the unexpected delay. Kyung Ho, ever the pragmatic soldier, simply nods. He expresses gratitude for any help and says he'll return to the subspace for now. They agree and prepare to find another route. As they continue, our hero reflects on how quickly they've traveled. In less than an hour, they covered the distance from Gangnam to Bampo Bridge. This despite the detours and monster attacks along the way. He credits not just his ability but also Yong-soo's phenomenal driving. Kyung Ho agrees, remarking that Yong-soo's uncanny talent for navigating rubble-filled roads at such speed borders on supernatural. Even watching makes him dizzy. Different as they are, both men clearly possess remarkable gifts. Scanning the surroundings, Yong-soo spots a narrow opening between buildings. It might offer a path forward, but there's a catch. A massive fortress wall blocks the way, towering high and dense. He isn't sure whether it can be broken through, but suggests driving up to it for a closer look. As they move, Kyung Ho realizes that this route would take them through Yongsan. Our hero agrees to drop him off there, since it lies along their path. The landscape grows increasingly desolate as they approach. The devastation is total. Suddenly, the scene transitions to a sterile military office. Bright lights shine off spotless floors as a subordinate informs the director of a visitor. It's the commander of the 50th Signal Battalion, Han Kyung Ho. The subordinate explains that Kyung Ho claims his entire unit was wiped out and insists he has critical intelligence to share. The director listens, skeptical at first, but eventually agrees to the meeting. Kyong Ho walks down a brightly lit corridor. His footsteps echo sharply through the silence. He enters the room and stands before the director, recounting every harrowing detail of his recent experience. The director listens carefully, his expression darkening. When Kyong Ho finishes, the director nods slowly, acknowledging the tremendous sacrifice and service Kyong Ho has rendered. Then the conversation shifts. The director mentions the rumors he's heard about an individual with staggering abilities. This man, the one Kyong Ho traveled with, has made a bold request. In exchange for food and supplies, he wants a helicopter. The director admits helicopters are invaluable assets in these times, but if the man's abilities are truly as reported, delivering one might be possible. However, there's a catch. The director reveals the condition. If the man wants the helicopter, he must enlist in the military as an awakened soldier. The nation is collapsing under the weight of this disaster. His power could turn the tide. With calm resolve, the man declines. Nothing matters more to him than rescuing his family. The director frowns but respects the answer. Under these conditions, he says, the helicopter cannot be provided. Our hero accepts the decision with quiet dignity. He expresses hope for a peaceful resolution and wishes the director good health before turning to leave. But as he reaches the door, the director calls him back. He has another request, a mission. If completed, it could still earn him the helicopter he needs. The director explains the situation. Our hero listens. He accepts the task. As soon as the mission begins, he unleashes a new wave of weight-based projectiles, each strike tearing through ranks of skeletons. Bones explode into fragments. Screams fill the air. Soldiers observing from a distance stare in disbelief as the skeletons are torn apart mid-charge. The path to Seoul Station is cleared with violent precision. When they finally arrive, a group of weary soldiers emerges from the shadows. Their faces are pale, their bodies thin, but their eyes brighten with recognition and hope. Relief floods the station. A brief exchange confirms their identity. They have been waiting, barely hanging on. The journey back is no less dangerous. More skeletons rise from the earth, but our hero continues his relentless barrage. Each attack is calculated, efficient, and merciless. At one point, he observes a particularly strange skeleton. Its appearance stands out. Its reaction seems different, but there's no time to investigate further. The mission isn't over yet. A skeleton stands amidst the ruins, seemingly unharmed by the chaos. It slowly turns, its empty eye sockets locking onto the main character. With a voice that echoes through the air, it identifies itself as Gane, one of the 12 Knights of the Night King. Then it questions the humans' presence in their territory and demands to know if he is a mage. The hero, unfazed, comments on the shattered mana stone and how its destruction somehow enables him to understand the creature's language. He wonders aloud if this is yet another application of mana stones. Without missing a beat, he returns the greeting not with words, but with force. A series of attacks fly forward in rapid succession. His shield comes up just in time, deflecting the blow in a spectacular display of sparks as metal scrapes against metal. Watching from a distance, Yong-Soo gasps in disbelief. He shouts his concern as Gawain cleaves the weighty object in two with a single swing of its sword. With a powerful stride, the knight charges forward. Realizing that his standard attacks are doing little to stop the enemy, the hero activates tracking delivery. He spends 50 mana stones, and instantly he gives the command to aim for the chest. Pax locks in and fires. But the knight barely flinches. Annoyed, Gawain mocks the hero's tactics, easily sidestepping the projectiles and scoffing at the predictability. It calls him a foolish mage. But the hero isn't done. 4 weights shoot through the air, one after another, each slamming into the exact same spot on Gawain's chest with thunderous impact. From out of nowhere, he launches a bowling ball straight at Gawain's head. The knight recoils slightly, caught off guard. For the first time, it curses aloud, admitting it let its guard down. It stumbles forward, its movements for a moment uncoordinated and sluggish. Seizing the moment, the hero sends in a barrage more bowling balls, crashing into Gawain's skull, crown, back, and sides. Each strike lands with a resounding crack. The relentless assault overwhelms Gawain's defense, shaking the once unbreakable knight. Yong-Soo, watching with wide eyes, asks what the hero just said before the attack. The response is casual. He told Pax to autoship in that order. The hero expresses his own astonishment at the skeleton's ability to speak, then notes with some relief that good old physical impact still gets the job done. Yong-Soo thanks him for the timely rescue, but the hero stays on alert. This isn't over. He explains that the knight, likely due to his formidable armor, is tougher than even a giant wyvern. Adding a massive sword and shield to the mix makes the situation even more dangerous. As expected, Gawain isn't defeated. It rises, fury burning in its empty sockets. Pieces of its armor break away, clattering to the ground and revealing the true form beneath a skeletal warrior, its frame cracked and scorched from the earlier blows. Still, it rages. Still, it fights. However, Gawain's armor continues to crumble, bones peeking through the gaps. The knight snarls more curses at the hero, who analyzes the damage, searching for any exploitable weakness. Then our hero makes a bold move. He instructs Pax to deliver the disc pillars, a multi-directional strike. 4 massive weights emerge from portals positioned around Gawain. In perfect synchrony, they crash inward from all sides. The impact triggers a shockwave that ripples through the ground. Dust and debris explode outward as Gawain vanishes in a cloud of destruction. With one final proclamation of loyalty to the Night King, Gawain collapses into the rubble. As the hero regains his breath, 2 large mana stone fragments materialize before him, along with a reinforcement stone. Yong-Su and the others are awestruck. Even with heavy artillery and tank shells, nothing had brought Gawain down before. But this young man did it. Back at the base, the director awaits. He's not impressed as he reminds the hero of the explicit order to retreat if a skeleton knight appeared. While he acknowledges the success, he makes it clear it won't. He had expected compliance, not improvisation. Still, he extends an offer. He invites both the hero and Hiangu to join their operation, suggesting they reconsider their earlier refusal. The director proposes a deeper discussion once the hero rescues his family, emphasizing how valuable an ally he could be. He then offers to escort them to the helicopter. As they walk, the hero reflects on everything. The pressure of their expectations weighs on him. He barely defeated 1 skeleton knight. Facing several at once, he knows he wouldn't survive as there are at least 11 more. He recalls Gawain's cryptic final words about not dying even in death and wonders what kind of terrifying power the Night King truly possesses. He also notes how oddly ineffective conventional weapons like tank shells had been, especially compared to the surprisingly successful bowling balls. It defies logic, but then again, monsters always do. The director updates him on the situation in Guljiro. High walls have risen, enclosing the area. The military's attempts to investigate have failed. Their reconnaissance unit lost contact. However, aerial surveillance reveals movement within. Civilians and possibly the missing troops are still alive. The hero feels reassured, but he admits he was never too worried his sister is more than capable of surviving, even against monsters. One final development is that the tops of the walls are now curving inward, like a roof slowly forming. The director isn't sure whether it will close completely, but he's grateful they managed to secure a helicopter before it does. They arrive at the helipad. A dated helicopter sits nearby. The hero eyes it skeptically, but the director clarifies that's not the one for him. He points to a sleek, modern aircraft humming nearby, which Yong-Su sees and is in awe of. A powerful military helicopter hovers on the helipad, its sleek body unmistakably that of a high-performance machine. Hiangu bursts out laughing, exhilarated. Their ride is none other than a Blackhawk, and he can barely contain his excitement. The main character expresses his gratitude, stunned by the impressive gift. But the director remains serious, reminding them that even a 3-star general would hesitate before lending one of these out. Yong-Su, practically glowing, announces how touched he is. He can't wait to pilot it. The director, visibly surprised, questions his experience. Hiangu admits it's his first time, but quickly adds a twist. His unique ability as the best driver lets him expertly handle any vehicle the moment he boards it. That talent kicks in now. A glowing notification confirms a new vehicle type has been discovered, helicopter. The system offers to unlock the new piloting skill for 50 magic stones. Yong-Su explains that it's not about leveling up his skill to register vehicle types. The director leads him over to a stack of glowing magic stones, a gift from the military. It's their way of saying thank you for all the help. Yong-Su stares at the pile, a bit overwhelmed. He only needs 50 stones to unlock the helicopter skill, which means the rest are his to use freely. The main character encourages him to make the most of it. With a confident grin, Yong-Su consumes the stones. Another notification confirms the upgrade. He's ready to fly, eyes shining with determination. The main character agrees, but can't help noticing Yong-Su's intense expression. He suggests taking it slow. Yong-Su, grinning ear to ear, refuses. He's not going to hold back. As preparations finish, the protagonist takes a moment to open his inventory. He now holds 2 large magic stones, each worth 100 regular ones, and a single enhancement stone. The sudden windfall catches him off guard. These must be from the skeleton knights defeated during the rescue mission. He uses 1,000 stones immediately to upgrade his subspace ability, confirming that his skills remain usable during the upgrade process. His attention shifts to the enhancement stone. It radiates fire-type energy capable of imbuing objects with powerful traits like ignition or penetration. After a moment of thought, he knows exactly what to enhance, which is the bowling ball. It had proven deadly effective against the armored knight earlier. The system prompts him to describe the newly enhanced item, but he skips the optional step and simply registers the fire-imbued bowling ball into his arsenal. In a moment, Yong-Soo calls out that everything's ready. As the helicopter lifts off, the main character receives a wave of notifications. His upgraded subspace now unlocks new features. Temporary shipping size increases, and the ability to retrieve registered people directly from storage. Back on the ground, the director watches their departure. He quietly hopes the mission to rescue the protagonist's family will sway his decision about joining the military. His gaze lingers on their determined expressions as the Black Hawk vanishes into the sky. The main character evaluates his subspace's limits. Although it has been used effectively with massive objects like logistics centers and military bases, it still struggles with unregistered items. Then, a breakthrough, the category registration feature allows him to classify external objects under preset types. The Black Hawk qualifies as a military base item, and it costs 107 magic stones, which the registration goes through successfully. Soon after, they return briefly and catch the director off guard. He's confused, wondering if the helicopter malfunctioned. Instead, the protagonist retrieves 2 brand new helicopters from his subspace and drops them on the roof like a magician. The director stands speechless as the duo lifts off again. Far away, deep within a castle shrouded in gloom, the Night King contemplates the situation. He wonders why Earth, despite its low entry permit level, is drawing attention from higher-tier beings. Why would a being like himself lower his status just to cross over into this world? The arrogance of the invading wizard irritates him. Floating beside him, a disembodied skeleton head delivers a report. Gane attempted to communicate with the wizard, but was attacked instantly. That confirms the wizard's threat level. Another update follows that humans have entered the castle. The Night King waves it off. They're nothing more than food for Camelot. The roof will soon close, trapping them inside. There's no need for concern. A knight named Lancelot volunteers to take the wizard's head, but the Night King declines, adding that the harvest comes first. The wizard can wait and that Gawain's death is regrettable, but enhancement stones can always be acquired again. Back in the air, Yong informs the protagonist that they're approaching the designated location. But landing proves tricky on the ground. A skeleton knight clashes violently with another fighter. Blades collide, sparks fly. The knight attacks with overwhelming force, but the other figure deflects blow after blow with effortless grace. The main character squints, heart skipping a beat. The combatant is his sister. She moves like a force of nature, each strike deliberate, controlled. But there's a problem. No matter how hard she hits, the enemy won't fall. The impact lands, the damage shows, but the creature keeps coming. She senses the futility of her assault, questioning why the skeleton refuses to go down. A flashback of young Sol Kim watches a mixed martial arts match on television, eyes wide with fascination. Her heart races with excitement. In that moment, she knows that this is what she wants. Without hesitation, she turns to her younger brother, dragging him into her world as a practice partner. It doesn't take long before she overwhelms him, tossing him to the ground with ease. But that effortless victory leaves her unsatisfied. She wants more. She wants stronger opponents. Sol marches to the local playground, seeking a real challenge. She tries her skills on older kids, but none can match her strength and reflexes. Her father, quick to notice her gift, makes a decision. He enrolls her in a professional mixed martial arts gym. It is there that she tastes her first real defeat. Painful, humbling, but necessary. That loss becomes the spark that fuels her relentless drive. What follows is a fiery training montage. Every frame tells a story of grit and obsession. Sol trains harder than anyone around her, sweat dripping from her brow, fists bruised from countless hours of sparring. Her natural talent, fused with unwavering dedication, turns her into a dominant force. By the time she reaches 7th grade, no one in the junior division can touch her. But her pursuit of perfection comes at a cost. She tears the cruciate ligaments in both knees, one after the other. Doctors urge her to stop, but Sol refuses to quit. She presses forward, adding more injuries to her record. Despite the setbacks, she makes her professional debut at age 24, a feat she could have achieved years earlier had her body not paid the price. The flashback fades and the present rushes back in. Saul now stands in the thick of battle, facing off against a towering skeleton knight. Overhead, Yong-soo pilots the military helicopter, eyes scanning the scene. Inside, her younger brother, our hero, asks Yong-soo to lower the ceiling of the aircraft. He needs a clean shot. Below, the skeleton knight glares at Saul, puzzled by her resistance. His strikes land, yet she remains unfazed. She responds with a smirk, her calm composure mocking him. The knight insists it's not about speed, but technique. Saul tilts her head, thinking aloud. She's never relied on technique, just observation, instinct, and a keen awareness of body language. The knight pauses, acknowledging her raw, untapped potential. If not for the restrictions of the hierarchy, he admits he would have already lost. He recognizes her greatness, suggesting that with time and rank, she could surpass even the highest of knights. A surprising gesture follows. He decides to let her leave. Death looms for those still inside the fortress as the ceiling begins to seal the sky. He offers to speak to the Night King himself, a favor in return for the lesson she unknowingly imparted, a fundamental matter. Up above, the helicopter dips lower and then a flaming bowling ball rockets from the aircraft, trailing streaks of fire. It slams into the skeleton knight's shield with thunderous force. The explosion sends bone fragments scattering like shrapnel. His armor crumbles beneath the sheer power of the blow. Saul stares at the aftermath, visibly stunned. Her brother lands and steps out, a look of relief on his face. Saul recognizes him instantly and rushes to his side. Inside the safety of the subspace, Joyen eyes her older sister curiously. She asks about the barrier Saul seems to wield and the superhuman strength she displays. Saul shrugs it off, clarifying that it's all natural except for the barrier, which is her awakened ability. Their brother urges her to slow down and eat. A wave of relief washes over him. All three siblings have awakened their abilities. All three have survived. He suggests it's time to head toward their older brother's location. Saul, still chewing, shoots a glance and asks how he's managing all this. The helicopters, the subspace, the weapons don't add up. He gives her a tired smile. It's a long story. For now, she just needs to rest. He explains how to use packs to order anything she might need and reminds her to greet Yong-soo's family inside the subspace. Joyeon interrupts, wondering if they're leaving right away. Their brother nods. Time is running out. The fortress ceiling continues to descend, sealing off the sky. He looks up, his face tight with concern. The gap is shrinking. He tries to break through the walls, but they resist every strike. The thought of storing the entire structure inside the subspace briefly crosses his mind, but he quickly shakes it off. Too risky. The system once mentioned that certain items can temporarily increase the shipping size limit, but it costs magic stones, which are resources he knows will become scarcer as he levels up. Even if he uses the stones, there's no guarantee the castle will fit. Worse, he doesn't know if absorbing the castle will pull all of Guljiro in with it. The cost might be catastrophic. Saul steps beside him, echoing the skeleton knight's warning that those who remain inside will face death. The statement haunts them. What does the Night King know that they don't, sensing something is coming? Yong-soo breaks the tension, full of confidence. He assures them they'll locate the Night King in 5 minutes. Their brother barely has time to fasten his seatbelt before Yong-soo kicks the chopper into high speed, pushing it to the limit. The rush leaves him queasy. He clenches his jaw and begs Yong-soo to ease up. Meanwhile, deep within the castle, Lancelot delivers a piece of grim news. Another knight has fallen Lionel, without even landing a single blow. The Night King narrows his eyes. The magician must be involved. Lancelot nods solemnly, recounting Lionel's final moments. The mage's single goal is probably to disrupt the harvest. The king growls. Enough waiting. He demands the intruder's location. Before the order is complete, Lancelot informs him that the enemy is already here. The king's expression twists. He underestimated the magician's speed. He demands to know how long until the harvest is complete. Lancelot assures him very soon. Then he sees it. The helicopter approaches. Inside, he spots a figure that doesn't match the reports. Lifeless humans. Confused, the king growls in frustration. He asks if the enemy is undead, not a mage. Either way, he declares, they won't make it past the gate. On the ground, the trio steps into the castle. Saul and Yong-soo flank their brother, who wobbles slightly, still dealing with motion sickness. He groans, swearing off helicopters forever. But there's no time to rest. A new threat emerges. Bat-like monsters swarm from the shadows. Before anyone can react, Saul springs into action. Her fist slams into one of the creatures, sending it flying into the castle hall. Saul instantly warns him to stay on alert. There's a shift in the air. Something darker stirs in the smoke curling around them. Our hero narrows his eyes, trying to make sense of the figures emerging from the haze. Confusion gives way to alarm. His expression tightens as he grasps the danger ahead. Without wasting a second, he instructs Yang-Su to retreat into the subspace, and Yang-Su obeys without hesitation. Saul's eyes gleam with excitement. She charges forward like a storm, launching herself into the chaos with wild, untamed ferocity. Her power feels raw and overwhelming. Each punch, every kick, lands with a thunderous impact. Monsters fly through the air as if caught in a cyclone of destruction. The panels explode with energy lines flashing across the page, capturing the sheer velocity and force of her onslaught. Her fists slam into grotesque faces, snapping jaws and crushing skulls. Dark blood sprays out in chaotic bursts, painting the battlefield in carnage. But amidst her brutal dance, one of the bat-like creatures lunges forward and sinks its fangs deep into her neck. She barely flinches. Instead, she snarls, grabs the monster by the throat, and slams it into the ground with earth-shattering force. She stands over it, powerful and defiant. Our hero watches from a distance, recognizing her enjoyment in the madness. Still, he knows the monsters are clustered too closely to target safely. If he miscalculates, he risks hurting Saul. His mind races, eyes flick to the system interface. He considers the possibilities hidden within the Subspace laboratory's upgrade options. Meanwhile, Saul continues her merciless rampage. As she moves, she begins to notice a pattern. The monsters aren't just attacking, they're drawn to something. Our hero, catching the same detail, makes a move. He summons a massive electrified mosquito-repellent weapon. With a burst of energy, the club slams into a monster's head, releasing a violent crackle of electricity. The creature stumbles back, momentarily stunned. A small grin tugs at our hero's lips. The weapon works even better than expected. Saul eyes him from the fray, her brow furrowed. She questions his interference. His response is simple that he's helping, but she scoffs, clearly annoyed that he's disrupting her momentum. Deep within the castle's shadowy heart, the Night King listens to a report from his subordinate, Tristan. The Night King raises an eyebrow at the claim that a mere human warrior is fighting on par with their knights. He leans back, voice laced with disbelief, noting how a single mage is already a formidable opponent. Now this warrior adds another layer of complexity. After a pause, the Night King makes a grim decision. He chooses to summon Lancelot. Lancelot immediately expresses concern. Summoning a 7th-rank being from Earth will attract the attention of the Chamber of Commerce. The risks are immense, but the Night King is resolute. The magician they face is at least 8th rank. Even if ranks were equal, magic often overpowers knightly skill. With both a powerful mage and a warrior who match knight-level abilities, fighting them with anything less would be a death sentence, however. The knights murmur in agreement. Turning back to Tristan, the Night King thanks him for his sacrifice. Tristan's head is engulfed in spectral flames as he nods in submission. With steady hands, he offers up a magic stone, disappearing as soon as the ritual completes. The Night King uses the stones to summon Lancelot, his most powerful knight. In a dazzling flash of energy, Lancelot emerges, armor gleaming, eyes cold. Back outside, our hero examines the newly crafted electric club. It's a semi-rare weapon, the result of merging enhanced insect repellent tech with an ordinary baseball bat. He notes that while the attributes are somewhat diluted, the utility remains solid. Saul accepts the weapon with casual gratitude. He shrugs, claiming it's nothing special. Their conversation shifts to the bite Saul sustained earlier. It's itching now. With a half-serious tone, she tells him to kill her as she starts turning into a vampire. Far above them, the Night King watches from his throne. His gaze is piercing, eyes glowing with a menacing red hue. He remarks on the irony of a high-ranked magician wandering into such a low-level place. He wants to know why these humans are here, disrupting his realm. Our hero and Saul exchange confused glances. They have no idea what he's referring to. The Night King grows impatient. His voice rises, demanding an answer. Still clueless, our hero shrugs again. That defiance is the final straw. The Night King's fury erupts. He gives a single command to kill them. Lancelot descends from the throne, armor gleaming under the flickering light. The air thickens with tension. Saul lights up, energy coursing through her. She tells her brother not to interfere this time. She wants to test her new weapon, to face this challenge alone. She rushes Lancelot, swinging the electrified club. Sparks fly as it clashes with his sword. The force of her attack makes Lancelot stagger back, clearly caught off guard. But he recovers fast, retaliating with a sharp, precise strike. His blade slices clean through her bat, breaking it in two. Undeterred, Saul had activated her barrier. The clash creates a dust cloud that momentarily obscures the battlefield. She steps back, retrieving herself, muttering a curse at the flimsy weapon. Our hero watches with sharp eyes. He quickly clarifies that the weapon isn't weak. Lancelot is just that strong. Meanwhile, our hero becomes acutely aware of his dwindling supply of mana stones. He's burned through a significant amount just crafting his electric bat. His gaze shifts momentarily to the fallen skeleton knight nearby, calculating the possibility of absorbing its mana stone. But Saul, without breaking her stance, reminds him of the unspoken rule Finders Keepers applies here. That stone is hers. Snapping back to the battle, he raises his hand and summons a barrage of fireballs. They explode toward Lancelot with blazing speed. But Lancelot calmly unsheathes his sword, slicing through each fireball with precision, dodging the rest with terrifying agility. Our hero stands frozen, stunned by the knight's inhuman reflexes. Saul stays low, ducking under Lancelot's wide sweeping strike. She retaliates instantly with a powerful upward slash. Sparks erupt as her blade connects with Lancelot's jaw, sending his skeletal head jerking backward. He stumbles from the impact, but Saul doesn't let up. She charges forward, her strikes hammering into him one after another. Lancelot parries as best he can, but she overwhelms him with speed and sheer aggression. Seizing the chance, our hero unleashes another fireball aimed straight at Lancelot's skull. The impact lands, yet the knight recovers almost instantly, barely phased. A wave of unease washes over our hero. He realizes they're facing a monster beyond their level. With no time to waste, he activates his item recall ability. In a flash, both he and Saul vanish into subspace. The Night King, overseeing the battle, commands Lancelot to pursue them. Inside the safety of the subspace, Saul questions whether the retreat is all about the Mana Stone. Our hero shakes his head. It's not about the stone anymore, it's about surviving. He recounts how Lancelot took a direct hit from a flaming bowling ball and didn't even flinch. There's no denying it, they're up against something far worse than they imagined. Saul nods, finally grasping the gravity of the situation. Just then, Lancelot reappears outside the subspace gate, charging with his greatsword raised. Our hero reacts fast, summoning yet another flaming bowling ball and launching it forward. The ball blazes through the air, crashing into Lancelot. Still, the knight blocks it like it's nothing more than a pebble. Frustration builds as he wonders how Lancelot is blocking point-blank attacks without effort. Saul voices what they're both thinking, as it shouldn't even be possible. The Night King watches the clash from afar, his expression unreadable. He scoffs at our hero's tactics, dismissing them as weak and pitiful. But deep down, he admits the strategy of using dimensional items has its merit. It's a clever idea, especially in a duel between supposed 8th-rank mages. He mocks their arrogance, revealing the truth about Lancelot, as he's a 7th-rank knight immune to their attacks. This wasn't just a flex. It's a desperate move. The Night King is fully aware that summoning Lancelot might bring sanctions from the Chamber of Commerce. But he doesn't care. He has nothing left to lose. Without Lancelot, everything would have already slipped through his fingers. He casts a glance over the battlefield, eyes narrowing at the scattered pile of discarded items, and wonders how they gathered so many in such a short time. Then it hits him that they aren't using magic. These are all summoned items, thrown into combat like disposable weapons. He grumbles at the inefficiency of it all, wondering why someone with such powers wouldn't use spells instead. Back in subspace, our hero pores over the pack's interface. He mentally calculates the mana stone cost of crafting new weapons and activating subspace abilities. Enhancement and item crafting remain as frustratingly expensive as ever. He eyes his most powerful weapon, the flaming bowling ball, but the reality sets in. Even that barely scratches Lancelot. He pauses, deep in thought, a plan slowly forming in his mind. But before he can act, the Night King steps down from his throne, cutting off his focus. The skeletal figure demands to know what kind of ability our hero possesses. This isn't a mage standing before him. This is a human with the power to duplicate items. A moment of silence follows, then the king laughs with cruel satisfaction. He orders Lancelot to lower his weapon. These two aren't enemies, they're potential allies. Lancelot hesitates, confused by the sudden shift in orders. But the Night King continues, his voice dripping with calm malice. He reveals the true secret behind the enhancement stones. They come from the castle itself, Camelot. Camelot, he explains, can generate enhancement stones by consuming living beings. These stones don't just amplify basic items, they supercharge items with special traits. Including Camelot itself, and using these stones, he controls the 12 knights of the castle, Lancelot among them. He offers a deal, a partnership. He proposes mass production of enhancement stones, using the duplication ability of our hero. With time, they'll have all the living sacrifices they need to fuel the process. Once it's set up, they'll possess wealth and power beyond imagination. Our hero listens carefully, his expression calculating. Then he thanks the Night King for the generous offer. But he isn't planning on joining forces. Instead, he turns to Pax and issues a command. Camelot must be stored into Subspace. The Night King stares in disbelief, trying to process what's happening. But our hero says nothing. He watches as the massive fortress begins to shrink, collapsing into a miniature form before vanishing entirely. Now holding Camelot in Subspace, he marvels at how small it looks. Like a toy, Saul stands beside him, eyes wide with awe. Rage erupts from the Night King. He screams in fury, calling our hero a lowly 9th-rank slave and mourning the loss of his fortune. Dark energy crackles around him, his skeletal frame twisting with madness. Unfazed, our hero gives a cold command. He calls to the knight beside him, Lancelot, and tells him to eliminate the king. Lancelot draws his sword. His eyes glow with ominous purple light. He bows respectfully before striking. The Night King barely has time to react before Lancelot's blade slices clean through him. The kingdom's master falls, undone not by magic or brute force, but by a cunning plan and a single command. The Night King lets out a guttural cry and attempts to defend himself, but it's too late. Lancelot's blade slices through him effortlessly, sending a shockwave of energy pulsing through the remnants of Camelot. The once mighty tyrant crumbles in silence, his reign ending in a flash of steel. Lancelot steps forward and retrieves the magic stone from what remains of the Night King's body. Almost immediately, a bright notification flashes before the eyes of the one who brought this madness to a close. A transfer has been made to Lancelot's dimensional account, along with a hefty sum of magic stones, and is now under his ownership. He stares at the screen, eyes widening at the number glowing before him. His balance now stands at a staggering 3,086 magic stones. The realization hits hard. Saul, ever quick to seize opportunity, notices the notification and nudges him playfully, asking for 1,000 stones in return for saving his life. He shoots her a look, half grateful, half amused, and reminds her just how many weapons he's already crafted for her, each one at the cost of his own magic stones. Unfazed, Saul shrugs and counters that a human life must be worth far more than a few magic stones. He sighs, knowing she has a point, but he bargains her request down to 500. She accepts, but her eyes drift to something else entirely. Lancelot. Still towering in silence, Lancelot's presence remains as imposing as ever. Saul leans in and asks what he plans to do with the knight now. Before an answer comes, Lancelot approaches. His voice, flat and emotionless, declares that his task is complete. Little Yu Jang, Yong-Su's daughter, skips over and begins giggling at Lancelot, fascinated by the knight's gleaming armor and eerie aura. Yong-Su rushes forward, clearly embarrassed, and explains his daughter is rarely like this. Something about Lancelot must have truly impressed her. Yu Jang stretches out her tiny hand, touching Lancelot's armor with wide-eyed wonder. A faint smudge appears on the metal surface. Rather than recoil, Lancelot gently steadies her, making sure she doesn't stumble or touch his weapon. His careful gesture catches everyone's attention. The one watching it all unfold can't help but smile. Despite his intimidating appearance, Lancelot's actions speak volumes about the kind of knight he really is. Saul nods in agreement. It's hard to dislike someone who carries himself with such grace and silent strength. June turns to the group and asks if they'll be heading to Dongga next. That destination brings a shift in focus. The newly home of his eldest brother lies there, and it's been a long time coming. Seeing his exhaustion, Joan suggests they delay the trip until sunrise. He considers the idea rest is rare and necessary. Yong-Su tries to lighten the mood, pretending to play the brave knight to entertain his daughter. She's not impressed, calling him boring and refusing to play along. Eventually, seeing his daughter dozing off near Lancelot, Yong-Su quietly scoops her up and carries her inside to bed. Before turning in, he informs everyone they'll be leaving at 6 o'clock a.m. sharp and advises Yong-Su to get some sleep. With the house settling into silence, he pulls up the PAX interface and scrolls through Camelot's details. The options are intimidating blood sacrifice, phantom summon, night ordination, but what catches his eye is the castle installation setting. It mentions he can install Camelot at any desired size. Unsure how many magic stones it'll cost to create a livable space, he decides to test it with 300 stones, just enough, he hopes, for 12 people to live comfortably. He initiates the installation and watches as the mighty castle takes form within his subspace. It grows steadily, the walls forming, towers stretching upward until it stands complete. The knights around him marvel at the sight. Camelot, though reduced, still carries its legendary weight. He asks if the castle is large enough to house 12 comfortably. The knights nod, admitting it's suitable for living but nowhere near grand enough to reflect his newfound status. Saul raises an eyebrow at the cost, wondering aloud how many stones the Night King must have burned to forge the original Camelot. Lancelot answers with calm certainty. At least 1,000. He stares at the massive structure, still in awe of the mana required to build it. Strangely, he feels no drain or weakness despite having stored something so enormous. He speculates the original size must have been even smaller before its enhancement. Noticing that Saul is still awake, he asks why she hasn't gone to rest like the others. She steps forward, revealing she has a personal request for Lancelot and has been waiting for the right moment. Saul approaches the knight and praises his swordsmanship, hoping to learn from him. Lancelot listens silently before replying. He agrees on one condition. In return, she must teach him her fist technique. Her earlier display had clearly left an impression. Saul is caught off guard but quickly regains her composure. She smirks and calls Lancelot sharp for recognizing the value of her skills. She asks if he can handle the intensity of her training. With a spark of excitement, she proposes they begin with a sparring session immediately. Lancelot accepts without hesitation. Saul laughs, clearly impressed by his unwavering spirit. Morning arrives with a roar. Helicopters sweep through the skies above, waking Yong-Su from his sleep. He immediately contacts the others and steps outside. Together, they observe the aircraft circling ominously overhead. One figure among the soldiers stands out. It's Yuskiel, the operations commander. Saniel descends and greets them with a mixture of relief and urgency. He explains he's been tracking their movements since the disappearance of Guljiro's fortress wall. His timing is no coincidence. Saniel cuts to the chase. He warns them not to travel by helicopter. The First Corps has staged a coup, seizing control of the air defense systems, and now shoots down any aircraft that breaches their airspace. He outlines the situation. With intelligence provided by Kyong Ho, the government traced the First Corps to the northern districts of Seoul. Now entrenched and heavily armed, they've created an unbreakable defense perimeter around a foreign university. Even elite government forces struggle to breach it. He highlights their position on a map and urges them to detour through Nanyangju. But even that route is filled with uncertainty. Grateful for the heads-up, he admits the warning came just in time. A direct route would have led them into chaos. Yet as he considers the detour, another thought tugs at him. His brother and his family are in Donggu. Conflict might be inevitable. He turns to Lancelot, hoping the knight's wisdom might offer some direction. Saniel, noticing the knight, asks if they dealt with the Night King. In response, he formally introduces Lancelot, not as an enemy, as one of them, now an ally. Together, they begin planning. The First Corps may have the upper hand for now, but they're not unbeatable. With Lancelot by their side and allies forming around them, the path forward is uncertain, but it's theirs to shape. The scene shifts to a grim rebel encampment, where goblin-like insurgents guard a group of terrified hostages. Over 200 people sit huddled in iron cages, their expressions blank with despair. Watching silently from above, Lancelot hovers in his ghostly wraith form. This ability stems from a unique feature of Camelot, which allows its knights to freely switch between their knight and wraith forms without any additional cost. Our hero explains the strategic edge this transformation provides. Wraiths, while unable to engage physically, remain unaffected by physical obstructions. They glide effortlessly through solid objects and even soar through the air, making them perfect for gathering intel behind enemy lines. However, there is a price to this power. Summoning a wraith requires 1 enhancement stone and 500 magic stones, the same as calling forth a normal knight. A hefty cost, but well worth the advantage. Back at their command post, Lancelot reports his findings. The rebels are preparing a sinister ritual. Over 200 civilians are held as sacrifices, watched by grotesque mutated soldiers with twisted goblin features. Among the chaos stands the ringleader, entrenched with 9 anti-aircraft guns, creating a formidable defensive setup. The rebels are also preparing to expand their forces with a recruitment campaign in Bang Hakdong. The situation grows more alarming when Lancelot recounts whispers he overheard rumors about the coming of a shadowy figure known only as he who will change the world. These cryptic words linger in the air, setting our hero on edge. Saul, the ever-direct tactician, suggests eliminating the rebels outright. Our hero agrees, but emphasizes precision. If they misstep, they risk sparking a full-blown war with the First Corps. Time is the enemy now. The mission must be executed quickly and cleanly, before reinforcements can be called or the rebels relocate. Lancelot's power is considerable. He stands among the 7th rank, but even he cannot cover such a massive battlefield alone. Waiting for backup from nearby units would take too long. Worse, the rebels' next target is Bang Hakdong, the town where our hero's brother lies. That makes this mission personal. A second night summon could tip the scales, but there's a problem with no extra enhancement stones. Unsummoning Lancelot to retrieve his stone, then summoning him again, would be pointless. His strength wouldn't increase, and they'd only waste resources. Our hero laments the impossibility of duplicating enhancement or magic stones, the scarcity of which continues to limit their options. Then Lancelot reminds him they still have the enhancement stone claimed from the defeated Night King. Our hero's eyes lit up, realizing he had forgotten about it. Now the real question arises on which knight he would summon. Lancelot doesn't hesitate. He recommends Bedivere, a prodigious archer whose mastery of long-range combat borders on legendary. Excitement flashes in our hero's eyes. This is the ally they need. Meanwhile, deep within one of the iron cages, a girl in an orange sweater clutches her knees, surrounded by others who are injured, weak, and fading. A goblin guard approaches, eyes narrowing as he notes her relatively good condition. He leans in, whispering an offer to help her escape in exchange for a favor. Suspicion flares in the girl's eyes, but before the goblin can say more, his head is suddenly severed from his body. The girl gasps, frozen in shock. Lancelot materializes before her, his blade dripping as he shatters the cage's lock and silently turns toward the woods. Still trembling, the girl steps out cautiously, her gaze darting toward the mysterious knight who just saved her. Suddenly, a massive explosion erupts in the distance. The rebel camp is rocked by shockwaves as fire and debris rip through the air. Amidst the chaos, one soldier recognizes the blazing projectile that just hit them. Panic sets in. As the dust settles, Lancelot speaks, recounting Bedivere's story to our hero. Despite losing his arm, Bedivere reinvented himself. His sling now strikes with pinpoint accuracy, and his javelins pierce steel. This tenacity earned him a place among the elite. Our hero raises an eyebrow, wondering if slingshots alone can take out heavily fortified anti-aircraft guns. Lancelot, unwavering, assures him that Bedivere is more than capable. The focus shifts back to the rebel base. One soldier spots something falling from the sky and yells for Major Park only to watch him get knocked out by the impact. Confusion spreads. Then Lancelot appears in their path, a towering presence blocking any route of escape. He speaks with quiet authority, warning them that this territory is not theirs to tread. Mana Stone notifications flood in, lighting up the screen of the dimensional account as the balance surges upward. The flow of rewards is fast, relentless, and unexpected. Surprised by the rapid increase, the protagonist wonders silently if this kind of income is normal. More notifications pop up, the numbers climbing steadily. He nods to himself, realizing he must be doing something right. Yong-Su steps into the frame, his eyes scanning the sky as he comments on the signal proof that the anti-aircraft guns have been successfully destroyed. He praises the flawless coordination between Lancelot and Bedivere, their combined efforts carving a path through what should have been a fortified death trap. Even the army commander can't hide his amazement, openly questioning why special forces are even necessary with knights this skilled. Meanwhile, Bedivere looks puzzled. Though the mission is a success, confusion clouds his expression. He destroyed everything, sent the signal, but now he's unsure of where to go. The map in his hand offers no clarity, the markings vague and directionless. He mutters to himself, wishing he had a horse to scout the terrain. Eventually, he abandons the map and trusts his instincts, setting off based on intuition alone. Inside a captured rebel base, Lancelot interrogates a mutated rebel soldier. His methods are forceful, relentless. The twisted soldier breaks quickly under pressure, trembling as he spills the truth. The source of their intelligence is a mysterious being named Totadia. He describes Totadia as a force beyond comprehension, a being so powerful it frightens even the goblin-turned rebels. Despite his fear, the prisoner insists he knows nothing more about the plans. Then chaos erupts. The prisoner suddenly bolts, smashing through a window in a desperate bid for freedom. His fellow rebels react instantly, weapons drawn, rushing to cover his escape. He screams for someone to bring him his bike, panic overtaking strategy. Lancelot wastes no time, chasing after him with unrelenting speed. As the rebels scramble, trying to block Lancelot's pursuit, he cuts them down with brutal efficiency. These twisted soldiers believe they're evolving, proudly calling themselves smart for sacrificing their humanity to adapt. But their transformation into goblins does little to help them survive. Back in the sky, Yong-Soo informs the protagonist that it's time to land. Wary of the danger below, he urges him to take cover in the subspace. The helicopter dips hard, descending into the heart of the battlefield. Rebels on the ground look up, stunned, as the protagonist steps out of the aircraft. The moment he lands, a mutated brigade commander lunges at one of his companions, sinking monstrous teeth into flesh, tearing away bloody chunks. His body spasms violently, bones cracking, muscles bulging. He ascends into an 8th-tier monstrosity. Lancelot watches with disdain, questioning the commander's decision to abandon humanity for power. He wonders aloud if all goblinized soldiers have made the same pact, sacrificing their essence in exchange for advancement. The mutated commander confirms it with a wicked smirk, his form pulsing with dark energy. Disgust tightens the protagonist's features. He turns to Lancelot, asking about his current rank. Lancelot answers confidently 7th tier and assures him there's no need to step in. Their advantage remains intact. At that moment, Bedivere lands gracefully on the rooftop, his arrival timed to perfection. Following his gut once again proves to be the right move. Without hesitation, he launches a fireball at the grotesque brigade commander, engulfing the creature in roaring flames. Another notification pops up for the protagonist. His mana stone balance spikes again. As the dust settles, Yusenkil steps forward, nodding in gratitude. He thanks the knights for dismantling critical enemy defenses, explaining that their efforts have paved the way for smoother cleanup operations and safer civilian rescues. Then his tone shifts. He asks if the brigade commander still lives. Realization hits hard when he sees the charred remains. Silence hangs in the air. Turning to Lancelot, the protagonist demands to know what else he learned. Lancelot apologizes, admitting he only caught a single name Totadia. It's an unfamiliar word, alien and foreboding. Their understanding of the enemy grows more uncertain. Determined to find answers, the protagonist decides to search for documents inside the building once occupied by the commander. Lancelot points out the structure, noting its overwhelming amount of paperwork. Without wasting time, the protagonist instructs Pax to store every document and map into his military database. Pax complies, calculating the cost and absorbing the data with robotic precision. Yet 2 items resist integration. He examines the rejected form's dimensional being registration documents. One looks pristine, neatly filled out. The other is worn, almost illegible. Lancelot steps closer, analyzing them. He identifies the second form as a shortcut method, likely the one used by the brigade commander to trigger his transformation. The shortcut bypasses standard procedures, using neither enhancement stones nor proper authorization. Confusion gives way to insight. The protagonist wonders why the commander would opt for such a path when the official method was available. Lancelot explains that without a dimensional account and a supply of mana stones, the proper method becomes inaccessible. Most on Earth simply don't meet the conditions. He then reminds the protagonist how he managed to obtain his own account by defeating the 8th-tier Night King in combat. What stands out is the registration form's ability to adapt to each dimension. If it appears legible in the local language, it means the process is valid. Lancelot urges him to register immediately. Doing so would prevent any risk of future goblin transformation. Without hesitation, the protagonist proceeds. He initiates the process, investing 1,000 mana stones. It completes in seconds, surprisingly smooth and efficient. A final notification confirms his successful registration. Just then, a soldier stumbles into view, arms straining under the weight of the heavy bike. He pants heavily, apologizing for the delay. From above, Bedivere watches the scene unfold, amused. He points at the exhausted soldier and jokes about the unusual ride, squinting to see if it's a horse.